As we begin, will you please join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm sure that we're all aware of what's happening in our world right now. And I think as we start our meeting, I would like to ask that we just take a couple minutes of silence just to reflect on what's happening, pray for peace if that's part of who you are, and contemplate peace if it's not. We're in a pretty shaky situation for a lot of people. And I think it's very appropriate for us to start our meeting and our deliberations with just a moment to reflect on what's going on and to pray and consider people as they're going through some very, very difficult times. So please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Our culture doesn't do well with quiet times, does it? We're all going, when's he going to end? Thank you, though, for joining me in that. I would entertain a motion and a second for, was everybody here for both of these meetings? Well, we can't have the minutes for the 12th because we're having the minute where the 12th is right now.
It says we'll do the minutes next meeting because
Jennifer's not here.
Right.
And we have changes. Okay, so we will defer the adoption of minutes. Steve Knowlton has been stuck at work. I got a call from him about 20 minutes ago. He will not be able to join us today, so we will continue our land use technical committee discussions about affordable housing on October 26th. If he's available, he had to check his schedule. He will be sending to us board an email outlining the different issues that the LUTC has been discussing, so that we'll have a chance to review them before the meeting. Okay, we'll now open up for public comment on any of our action items. There are several places where we have public comment, so if you do have a public comment about something else, what we normally try to do, or what we always do, is have public comment on any of our action items so we can finish them, and then we can move on to any other public comment on any issue. So our action items for tonight are for the board to accept our audited voucher summary. The second is for us to accept the vacancy survey relating to the Emergency Tenant Protection Act. The third is way back here. The third is to approve a just compensation for property owners for the easement related to our sidewalk project, the Safe Streets to School project, where we will be having to do some work with property owners to take some of their properties, take some of the fences off, replace things. So we're trying to work on a process that limits the cost and exposure for our residents. The next resolution is for us to authorize a pilot agreement for Rockland Gardens. When we get to that, we'll talk a little bit more about that. I understand that the town of Orangetown has tabled their approval until for further discussions. They wanted to ask some questions of their assessor. The next one is for us to approve the installation of a commemorative plaque naming the Gazebo Memorial Park after Bert and Chris Hughes. The next is for us to approve a stargazing in Memorial Park on the Memorial Park viewing pier for the week of October 22nd to 27th. At least once, hopefully the skies are clear for Joe Carlin to lead. And the last is for us to award another of our sidewalk repair projects to Belleville Landscaping for Main Street. Any comments on any of those items? Yes, if you could please stand and give us your name and where you come from for the record, thank you.
Hi, Joe Carlin, 47 Second Avenue in Nyack. Just a quick note regarding the stargazing. Obviously, it's contingent upon the weather, and since we haven't had too much luck lately, with a lot of rain, cloudiness. So I just wanted to know if we could add another possible week after the Halloween parade or after Halloween, sometime early November, and hopefully we can make it happen sometime. I would say November 2nd to the 6th, or November 9th to the 15th.
Joe, I honestly don't see any issue with us reapproving this if it doesn't work during that week. So why don't we wait just so that we can get it the way it is?
Okay.
Wait until the week is over,
Sure.
and then we'll, if it doesn't work, just let Andy know and we'll redo it.
Tenfold.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, let's move through our action items. I need a motion and a second for us to accept our audited voucher summary.
Motion.
Motion from Marie, second from Donna. Oh, by the way, Jen won't be joining us, so we'll be trying to make sure that we're a little bit demonstrative about who's making motions and seconds, so that it ends up on the on our tape for the minutes to be transcribed. So forgive me if I'm overbearing on that issue. So motion from Marie, second from Donna. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Let's get this next one on the table, and then Dennis, if you want to walk us through what your expectations or what we need to think about. This is for I need a motion and a second to accept the vacancy study conducted by the village administrator relating to the Emergency Tenant Protection Act declaration of housing emergency.
So second.
Motion from Donna, second from Pascal. Let's give Dennis an opportunity to give us his thoughts, and then we can ask questions.
Well, from a legal perspective, not divulging any attorney-client confidentialities that we shared over the past few months. I've counseled the village administrator, Andy Stewart, and to the mayor, and that may be it. And maybe some of you in executive session, because there's been a threat of litigation, that in my legal opinion, we have conducted this survey correctly in compliance with the applicable law. There's not a ton of law out there, but from what I've researched and reviewed carefully, and also spoken to some colleagues in the municipal attorney sphere, I'm comfortable that we, the village, through Andy, have performed this survey study for vacancy rates in compliance with the law as it stands today. That's all I can really share about that.
Thank you. And
just of course, Andy can talk about the mechanics of conducting the survey, which was his project.
I think we've actually done that a couple of times in public session. I think the one thing that we did do was we did receive additional information, and the reason for tabling this motion at the last meeting was for us to consider it, to give fair look at it, and then to decide whether we should move forward. We've done that. We've added a section into the resolution regarding that, which anybody can look at if they want to. Is there any other clarifications or questions of the board? Yes, then please.
I'm assuming all the trustees have read the draft resolution, the proposed resolution. If not, maybe suggest that it take a minute or two to review it now. Just like,
Sure. This is an important one, so yeah. So if you haven't reviewed it, if you could just read it over real quickly. If you have
if you have any questions about
any
legal
questions.
or mechanical for Andy regarding the conducting of the survey, Andy's here. And the new additional information that Don was referring to is the paragraph. Where is that paragraph, Don? You see it? I think it's the bottom of page 2 in your agenda. If you print it
Yes,
out.
bottom of page 2.
Bottom of
Going
page
into page
2,
3.
top of page 3. So if it starts at the bottom of
Yes.
page 2. No, here you go.
No, I know, but I just wanted to. Okay,
Yeah, here you go.
okay.
It scrolls over the top of page 3, and the second paragraph on page 3 as well.
Mhm.
That references the additional information.
Are we all good? We
Yep.
read through?
Yeah.
Any further questions?
I just wanted to make note of the fact that we did get some, as the resolution indicates, we got some responses that came in, or at least one response that came in after time and was not completed the way that the survey requested. And though that was not included in the survey, but even if it were, it would not change the result, where the result clearly showed a vacancy rate of under 5%, which is what's contemplated to declare a housing emergency under the ETPA. And so I want to say that to the village administrator and everybody that worked on this, this was a very careful, painstaking, and extended approach that they took, and very disciplined. And I appreciate the work they did to make sure that it was done precisely and that we got good information, reliable information that we can act upon. So thank you, Andy, and thanks to everybody who worked on this.
Here, here. Anything else? Hearing nothing, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
The next step you may be thinking, Don, is.
No, I was actually considering whether we should, I want to let the public know that we did receive an additional email from an attorney of a coalition of landlords, which suggested that we were not willing to consider a proposal that they had sent to us. And I want to make sure for the record that it's stated that we are willing and will continue to work through that process as we move forward. So that I just want to make sure that the public is aware that we have received that and that we will consider it just like we've considered anything that's come before us about this issue.
Don, I just want to remind trustees, the next step is to schedule an actual public hearing on whether or not to declare a housing emergency in the village of Nyack. That's by public hearing. I'll prepare that and we'll work with Andy to get that published. And so we have not declared tonight. We have
Right.
not declared a housing emergency. It's
Exactly.
right there.
This is not a declaration of a housing emergency. It is simply the accepting of the survey that demonstrates a housing emergency based on us.
Do we need a resolution to set the public hearing?
Yeah, let's go through these. We'll do that after. And remind me if I forget. So we are
5.5.3.
we're 5.3, right?
Yes, yep.
To approve the just compensation. This is for the easements for the safe routes to school. I need a motion in a second.
So made. Second.
Any questions? Well, I think we've gone over this fairly several times in the past. For those in the public, this is about working with residents along Depew and some of the side streets on Lower Depew. We're going to be widening those sidewalks to make it safer for kids to get up and down to school. So, and that will require us to do some work with residents about taking over some of their land, talking with them about, hey, you're on village land, and just that whole process of working through that. We've already begun that. We've talked with residents. We've had a couple meetings with them. That process will continue. This just gives us the ability to use grant funds to make that happen. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. No, we're not.
It's not.
Don, you have a question?
No, we're not at, we had a place for open comments. We're moving through our resolutions now. There'll be a place for public comment after we're done with our resolutions. Our next resolution is to authorize the mayor to sign a pilot agreement with Rockland Gardens, Housing Partners Limited Partnership, the Town of Orangetown Union Free School District of Nyack, regarding 84 North Franklin Street, which is basically the Rockland Gardens. Let's get it on the table, and then if we have any questions, we can get clarification.
So moved. Second.
Motion from Donna, second from Pascal. Andy, you want to add anything to what I said earlier about this? And I hope I got that right.
I think that it's important for people to understand that the assessor evaluated this. The agreement is to hold their current assessment level for another year or so, and then increase it, given the amount that's going to be invested in that property, and then hold that for a certain number of years. It's not a tax give back.
So there's no impact on our taxes, only on the assessment of the building. So our taxes will remain the same. We just won't have, the assessment of the building will not go up until the pilot is finished. And it will phase in, if I understand it correctly. When I read it, I believe it goes to 28. So any questions? I understand the Town of Orangetown asked for some clarification from the assessor before they wanted to vote on it. We can vote on it before they do.
You don't read too much.
Yeah, I would recommend that we do to show the owner that this is a positive thing for our subsidized housing, to get it completely refurbished and worked on, and it will be a positive thing for our residents. And it will not be end up in an increase in their rent. So this is quite an accomplishment, and we should really, I think, be thanking Rockland Gardens for the idea and the process to get us here. So I would suggest that we vote on it tonight, and then let the Town of Orangetown make their determination.
Can I just ask, I'm assuming that the school district and the town are on board because it's a tax incentive?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe the school passed.
They
They
voted
did.
on it.
They passed it.
Yeah.
School board has a.
Town of Orangetown just had a couple questions they wanted to ask of the assessor.
Okay.
Hearing no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. I need a motion and a second to approve the naming of the gazebo after Burton
So moved.
Pursues.
Second.
Marie, the motion, second from Donna. Any further discussion on this? It's just sad that we need to do it, but appropriate that we do. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And could we also just add, sending a note of thanks to Chris for everything she's done for the village and notifying her of this. It'd be a nice touch to have it come from us as the trustees. The next is a resolution to approve the stargazing, and with Joe's permission, we'll do it just for the time that's in the resolution. And if for some reason we have clouds, we'll just add dates on to it, if that's all right with everyone.
So
I
moved.
need a motion, a second. I got a motion from Donna, a second from Joe. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. For stargazing, yeah, I feel when this is, I shouldn't digress, but when my grandson gets out on the porch in the morning, he wants to lay down on the porch and look up at the sky and point at the clouds. So I know exactly what you're going to be doing. This is during the day.
I just want to note for the record that for my 13th birthday, one of those stars was named after me. To say for my 13th birthday, one of those stars was named after me.
So if you can find it.
Figure out which one it is.
in your map.
Take a picture of it. Somewhere up there. I don't know.
Our next resolution is for us to approve an award for Main Street sidewalk repair to Belleville Landscaping. Let's get a motion in second, and then if Andy wants to explain to us exactly what's happening.
Motion.
Motion from Pascal,
Second.
second from Marie. Andy?
I'm sure everybody has noticed that the sidewalk between the Hezekiah Easter
Square.
Square and the River State parking lot is really deteriorated in a number of locations. And I would love to be able to fix that. It won't cost a lot of money. We have sufficient funds in our paving and road fund. And we have the 3 quotes in compliance with our procurement policy, which is any public works project under $35,000, you get 3 written quotes. And I think we got some pretty competitive quotes there. And I'd like to move forward with the project as soon as possible.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We will now open up for public comment on any item. We will limit our discussions to the best we can to 3 minutes. I'll remind you at 2 minutes and 30 by putting my hand up. If we need to go over, we'll see what the sense is, and you may have to come back up again. If anybody that wants to make public comment that hasn't signed in, Andy, do you want me to get that for you? When you come up to make your public comment, since we are recording and we are live, if you would give us your name and your address, and then please have that, whatever the issue is that you want to bring before us.
The first person is Daniel John Shields.
All right.
Oh, we said it's.
All right. Hello, how you doing? My name is Amir Lamir. I'm a resident of Nyack. You all probably know me. A lot of other people around here know me as well. And we were talking a while back, and I disappeared for a while because I took care of some family overseas trip. I'm sorry, things.
Stuff.
And wanted to touch up on the basis of what's happening with the fines that were happening with 197 Sickles Ave, the fire fines, and also at the same time, what is going on with the illegal building that they've been doing, and everything else that has passed after the Kingston.
Just be a little louder. I can't quite.
Yeah,
We have a
so-
action on
After
this.
the Kingston laws. that,
Oh, so you're talking about the Emergency Tenant Protection Act.
emergency-
And what are you talking about for the fire?
From what I've been informed, that the fire department fined the management of 197 Sickles for improper management of equipment. So they were using illegal varnish and things like that in the building, and also without the permits for the town.
Without
changing
building
permits
permits.
and pushing people out.
I am not aware of those violations, so we don't normally get those violations sent to us. Those are normally handled through the Justice Court. So I don't know if we can actually respond, but we can certainly find out and let you know.
Okay.
Unless,
We did have several excessive false alarm cases, excessive false alarm cases. It sounds like you're referring to a different type of violation. They were in court a couple of weeks ago. Sadly, or disappointingly, none of the defendants showed up. I've been working with the building department and fire inspector to try to address that problem of lack of appearance by code violation defendants, but they were excessive false alarms, not something that you just described.
I'm not sure that,
You're talking about, you're talking about 197 Sickles Avenue.
I don't recall the
Because the false
address.
alarms that we do have from the fire department was a lot of times with the Time Hotel. The Time Hotel, we had excessive alarms that went off, and there was no reason for the alarms to go off. But with the 197 Sickles, it was about varnish and the contractors using things that were not supposed to be used, and it was toxic to people that were living.
That may have been on the court calendar, but if it was, the defendant did not show up. But I don't think it was. As the mayor pointed out, village administrator and I will contact the building department, fire inspector, and see what's happening. 197 seconds.
Can you leave an email address so that we can or a phone number that we can correspond with you after we get to the bottom of it?
Absolutely.
Because the fire department normally is not in the business of issuing summonses. That's usually done by our code
Fire
enforcement and fire inspector.
So this was back in the time when Dana Nichols was still the 10-1 of the.
He was
fire
the chief,
department.
yeah,
And now it's changed over to Jim Petrillo.
right?
So as Jim Petrillo came in, then he started cracking down on the things that were going wrong.
Sure, we'll have Jim give either Andy or I a call, but we'll get the information for you. If there's something that he needs from us, I'm not aware of. I haven't been in contact with Jim for a couple of weeks about any of these issues, so I'm not aware of the specifics that you're talking about. So if you want to have Jim either contact myself or Andy, he has our cell phones.
Well, the reason
please.
that I was asking is because since I've been a resident there for the last 15 years, and I've seen everything changing back and forth, that's why I'm concerned with a lot of other residents that are here with me. And so there is, I don't want to say that there's, sliding of the hands, but we all do know that there is sliding of the hands going across the board. So I want to see if that is something, because I'm a person that lives in the neighborhood. I worked in the neighborhood. I left the neighborhood because I was pushed out because I fell out of business. And I still live in the neighborhood, but the most important thing is the safety for our children and our community.
We agree with you 100%. So let us do some research to find out. Well, I'm not going to agree with you or disagree with you about sleight of hand on anything, but let us do the research and we'll figure out the issues that you're bringing before
So
us.
we can trade information across the board with emails and everything else so that we can stay in communication with each other.
We will be happy to email you any of the information. You, of course, can email us anytime or come to any meetings and raise them again. But I'm not familiar with the issues you're bringing up, so I can't really
We
respond.
talked about it 3 months ago. 3 months ago before I disappeared, and it was all about the housing and the legal building and everything else that was happening. And that was only the beginning of
Well, I don't recall that discussion, so, and we've been for about
And then
3
we had
minutes.
the church came and was complaining as well about the situation about the rent increase across town.
We're saying that this is
Fire
two different things.
violations are different. That requires a different type of response. The issue that you brought up about the rent increases has been something we've been meeting about regularly since then, culminating in today accepting the vacancy study on the ETBA.
Yes,
So
you
there's
gave
been
me
a lot of
some, you
action
gave me
on
some
that.
advice about information that I needed to figure out. But at the same time, so if they have violations, how do they pay a fine and the village doesn't know about the fine?
No,
We don't know if
it's
that's
that
true.
the village doesn't know, it's that I don't know. There's lots of fines that are given out in the village and I have no idea who they're given to. So it's that I don't know. It's not that the village doesn't know. I'm sure the village court is very aware of every fine that's been given out. The building department's aware of every code violation that they've made. But I don't have that information to give you feedback. And this is, I'm sorry, unless I'm completely forgetting, the only thing that I remember you bringing to us was the rent increases. And we have been
The rent
working,
increase, and I
we've been
told you
working
about
diligently on them.
the
And
legal building, because they didn't use any permits, they reused the one permit.
our building inspector went up,
Years,
our building inspector and
the,
fire inspector did go up, but I don't know what the results of that was. But we will find out.
Thank you, because as a member of the
We're
community,
about
I don't
5
wanna
minutes
risk
in.
my life to go into a building and other buildings where people are doing things illegally, and I'm gonna put my life on the line as I pay.
Completely agree with
nothing
you.
to- And I don't get paid anything to, go save someone's life. I'll save anyone's life at any moment, at any time. And this is from Chelsea Lincoln Ladder. And being a prominent member of the community, but at the same time, needing to know and understand what's going on. So that way our lives are not just wasted.
Completely agree. We're doing, I think Well, let us find out what's going on and we'll get back to you. And we can talk about it in public at the next meeting, but we just don't have the information for you today.
Thank you.
Next. Andy? Why don't you just bring that back then and see where, give it to me and I'll call them up. Want to give it to me?
The only other sign up is Mr. John Giles.
Daniel, you want to wait for the next session? Okay. We are now at department reports. If there's no other public comment right now, please come up and tell us, give us your name.
Hi, my name is Miriam Rubinson and I live at 33rd Avenue in Nyack, and I'm here. I spoke last time we met to discuss 11th Avenue, and I'm here again to talk about it. Again, the person who bought this property did so as an investment, never lived at the property. As of right, you know, it's a 2-family zone and he could certainly upsize the property he has right now, probably build more than one. But not being satisfied with that, he wants to put multifamily housing there. He obviously has good lawyers and understands that if he just asks for a text amendment based on one, it's not zoning, you're not going to do that. So he carved out a niche of about six properties of a certain size. And he's saying, gee, well, let's change it and upzone that. And everyone knows affordable housing is good. And therefore we should do this to these 6 properties and that won't have a huge impact. But the truth is it would have a huge impact on our neighborhood. You'd end up with smaller properties in between multifamily housing on Gedney. It is a small block. As people have testified beforehand, there are lots of parking issues in the neighborhood. Although it's a 2-family zone, it's mainly 1-family housing. And we are not interested in having the neighborhood changed. Nyack has a master plan. If you're going to change the zoning in the community, you should do it through a master plan. We see no reason why you should spend money on the resources, Nyack's resources, because one individual wants to change the zoning for his property. And it does not benefit any of the neighborhoods and any of our neighbors. And we're all vehemently opposed. I think a lot of people aren't here tonight. There's a lot going on in the world at the moment, but they certainly all showed up for the ZBA meeting and they signed a petition and they let you know loud and clearly that they did not want upzoning in our neighborhood, that would harm our property values, that we love our neighborhood, that we want to live in this neighborhood. We bought homes knowing that it was 2-family residential neighborhood. And we're very satisfied with that and we would like to keep it that way. And we ask you to vote no and to represent the community, and your community does not want you to upzone these blocks. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to discuss it, but you can, you want to wait until we open the
Yeah.
discussion about
Yeah.
just, you know, that issue is on our agenda to discuss. We have not made any action to move any consideration. I've asked the board at our last meeting to make sure they came to this meeting ready to discuss it about whether we would move forward or not. So that is on our agenda. So thank you for your comments. We will open up now to our reports, our department reports. We have not met initially since our last meeting with the Orangetown Police Department. We did have one interaction with them about an incident of graffiti on a stop sign. They responded very quickly and are doing an investigation on it. We removed the stop sign and put up a new one, and it was related to the Jewish community. So we wanted to make sure we acted quickly and to try to help people to kind of get through where we are right now. Dennis.
Nothing except that I'm happy to have received a report from Andy that our fine collection in the Justice Court is through my prosecutorial work, has brought in significantly higher numbers than I guess in the past. And I only say that because it's something that I think I heard over the past 9 months or so about quality of life, people speeding, not coming to complete stop signs, going through red lights, and by being a little bit more aggressive with the fines, maybe the word gets out that, hey, slow down, come to a complete stop at a stop sign, stop at red lights. Maybe it will eventually improve the quality of life when it comes to traffic safety. So I'm happy to accept that report from the village administrator, and I hope to continue to send the message out on the street that there's a new sheriff in town.
Well, so thank you, Dennis. And I think it also speaks to what we heard about making sure that we're following through on our fines and not allowing
Yes.
people to just do things that they shouldn't be doing in their buildings, and being very, very diligent about that and making sure that we have the process.
And to let the gentleman know I missed your name, I'm sorry. I have been in communication with the attorney representing the Board of Fire Commissioners, and expressing to me the Board of Fire Commissioners' very serious concern about the excessive false alarm problem. And I'm treating that very, very, very seriously. And unfortunately, these last several defendants that were supposed to appear for excessive false alarms a couple of weeks ago, or none of them showed up. But my intention was to be pretty harsh on fines, and I will continue to do so.
I think we need to, this is important for our volunteer service that we do this. Okay, thank you, Dennis. Andy.
Just a couple items, just following up on that, we had intended to have a finance report from our clerk treasurer tonight, but she was taken ill, unable to appear, so I'll look forward to bringing full information to the board at our next meeting. You did have in your packets and posted online a year-to-date for the first quarter. And in terms of fines through the court system, dramatic improvement compared to last year. I know there's a backlog, but I think Dennis has really been working hard. So again, I want to also commend Dennis for his hard work and working with Ryan and Alexandria and Judge Noble and others to run a tight ship there. So thanks for that. So we'll have a full financial report for you on the 26th. While you have that in hand, if you have any questions or things you want us to focus on for that report, please let me know. So I can talk with
And
Jen.
the same goes for the public. It's on the website. If you review it and you have any questions, please feel free to let us know what they are, and we'll address them in the next meeting.
So I won't go into that right now. Just from the report back in capital projects. Right now, we've had two things going on this week. One was a piece of the TAP Broadway sidewalk project, which was the burying of electrical lines between light poles in front of Pickwick Bookshop and south of Bird Street. That was completed this week. And they have a couple of little things to do to finish up their project. We may have enough money left after all the billing we're waiting to see to do more next year. So we obtained proactively an extension on that contract with the state in case after we pay the remaining bills to ATAC, HVA, and McLaren that we can assess whether we have enough to take on another section of sidewalk, which would be nice, of course. We also have sidewalk work going on heading down South Broadway in front of Tallman Towers, the Brick House, and the NIAC Center. That's CDBG funded. Terra Firma has been doing a great job. They're working fast. They're about to turn the corner onto Depew. Originally, we had bid out just the South Broadway section, but they came in with a really good price. So there's enough money to make probably all the way up to Franklin on the sections that are deteriorated there. There's a couple of sections that were done fairly recently. They're in good shape up by the Franklin corner.
Which street?
It's on Depew Avenue. So we're talking with the management of Nyack Plaza, Nyack Housing Authority, Nyack Center, and others to coordinate. That project will be going up to Depew starting probably not Friday, but certainly early next week.
That's great.
So that's going on. The Marina paving project, we're real excited about. That's starting this week.
Yeah.
Because of the rain this weekend, they're not going to go full bore. today and tomorrow. But they're definitely rallying their forces and mobilizing to pave that lot, which hopefully will improve the drainage as well, because we get some big puddles down there. And we're hoping to see that situation mitigated a bit. I wanted to just mention also, the mayor mentioned this at the last meeting, is there's going to be an unveiling of a new memorial sign right here on the corner of Broadway and Lydecker, commemorating the victims of the Brinks robbery. That's on October 20th at 2:00, right before the annual event that takes place at Plum Mountain Union. I don't know if you want to say more about that, but that's it.
No, that's perfect. Just,
We have the date again?
October 20th
20th.
at 2:00, right out here, right outside. We use the Village Hall steps as sort of the dais. And I'm really excited about it. We've got the sign, we're ready to go.
Yep.
And it's I think it'll be a great event, and then it'll be followed by the normal memorial service. We've worked very closely with Bob Van Cura, under sheriff for Rockland County, who has been very active in following up with the families that were affected by that almost since the day it happened. And he's been working with the families to make sure that they'll be able to be here for it. So it will be a nice event. You know, this is the building that the police station was in during that time. So they were actually in our jail here for a while before they were transferred to the county jail. So a very significant event on October 20th. That's just. So I hope a lot of people from the public can come and join us for that.
One other item, Mayor, I have for you a draft of our 2024 calendar. So I worked on with Anne Marie, with circles on the dates proposed for village board meetings. And if everybody can just check out with their calendars and make sure that you don't have any, if you can avoid conflicts. We're gonna want to approve this calendar before the end of the year, so people know what's going on in January, February kind of thing.
Yeah, as the board will remember, we usually adopt the calendar at our organizational meeting. We're still working through the details. Joe and I have not. We have to wait for Joe to actually be elected before he and I can start talking about it. But we'll work on an organizational meeting to ensure that all of the mayoral appointments are made for next year in a timely way. But that's part of it. So please look it over, make sure we've got it right, and that you're available on those days.
Just one other reminder, Mayor, on the 26th, we invited the leadership of our climate action plan to a workshop at 6:45. And they had already shared extensive documents drafted for the village's climate action plan. So now is a great time to re-review that. Any questions you want to email me, I'll forward to Marcy and Steve and the team, and we'll try to make sure we're prepared for anything the board wants to know when they come in.
Andy, one of the things that I think we really need to think about, I've read through it when we first got it, and I was skimming through it as I was looking at all the climate smart stuff that is coming through a mayor's conference for climate. We're ahead of a lot of people. And we need a marketing plan to ensure that this is publicized in an appropriate way. And then we take the leadership that's appropriate for us.
What level are we at?
We're bronze, but we're within reach of
Ready
silver.
to get to silver
Right,
very,
okay.
very quickly. This is not climate smart plan will, I think, put us over the silver. But we've been taking leadership on this, and I really think that we ought to ask them to come up with a way that they would like to see us really put this out.
Last week, I think, a couple of spaces over in Westchester just got their designations for all Hastings and a few other spaces, so
Yeah, Hastings got their bronze just before we did.
yeah,
The last time.
they bumped up last
But
day.
this is something that we should be proud of as a village. We should really put it out there, what we're doing.
Yeah. Certainly with that, with the presentation and then the edits and hopefully the adoption of this plan. It's a lot has been done to get there, but the plan includes a lot more to do. And there's been a good deal of engagement by members of the community, some very active committees. And so I think there's gonna be a lot more to tell.
It's great. Anything else?
That's all I got for now, thanks.
Okay. Old business is the request for us to consider text amendment. That's exactly what we're doing. We're not considering the text amendment. We're considering whether we want to consider the text amendment. So two considers in there. So maybe we could just get a sense of the board. Dennis, can you give us the options again? You gave us what our options are. Our options are to
The proposed zoning.
Fourth Avenue.
Your option is to just decline to consider it, and like I've said, as long as your reason for declining is not based upon a unconstitutional ground, you don't have, that's your legislative discretion. You can say you're just not interested. Thank you. One of the reasons could be that you think your zoning in that particular neighborhood is good the way it is. That's a perfectly valid reason to say we're not interested in considering this proposed text amendment, or the village has other priorities right now that we're focusing on, and we not to say that in another several months, this is something that we might consider, but right now we have other priorities to focus on.
And if we are contemplating considering it, our next move would be to ask for some advisement from our planner, from our village planner,
Yes,
and probably
ultimately we'll have that. That's a more formal step.
if we
But
decide
first
to do.
would be the village planner,
So-
get his thoughts.
So what's the sense of the board, thinking of the board at this point on this?
You have a question? Yeah, I just had a question. I know from, I think a couple meetings back, one community member who lived in that area had mentioned the person asked, not meeting with them or talking with them about any of the plans that they're pursuing. I just wanted to know if anything has changed as whoever the owner of this is reached out to the community members in that area, talked to them at all. I'm just curious if any of you guys know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
No.
Has he reached out at all?
No.
No?
No one reached out to me, and I-
And we have not had any representation of the text amendment itself
Okay,
to the board either, or to the staff, just the document
just the document.
itself.
Okay.
Don,
That was a question.
you want to go next to anybody? We don't need to go down the line here.
Yeah.
Just as far as I understand it, this involves a proposal that was already put forth, I think, to was it planning board? Or
No, it's the ZBA.
ZBA, that's the ZBA for, I guess, approval on a building plan that was a pretty ambitious plan. When that was turned down, they then came to us for a text amendment that would allow by right the ability to build, I think, multifamily. I'm not sure what the one it would be, but multifamily. But again, we would not be approving that. We would just be referring it for consideration. I don't know. To me, I think this is not right for us, and I don't think it's something that we should submit to the planning board. I think that from what I know and have seen of the plan that was presented to the zoning board, I think it's something that the person who has petitioned for both the zoning change, the text amendment, as well as proposed the building to the building department, did not have a realistic approach to what he was trying to build. And I think that, if he wants to do something that is beyond what the zoning allows, he should perhaps propose something that would be a little bit more acceptable to the zoning board as well as to the local community, even if that was more than a 2-family. This was a 6-family with a pool on the roof and things like that, which was a little ambitious. Let's put it that way. To be pejorative. And so I don't think that this is something we need to consider right now. We have a lot on our plate. The planning board has a lot on their plate. I think that the person can go back and try to get another plan for that property approved in the normal course of trying to get projects done. That'd be my opinion.
Can I just ask too, because it was a mention that it's not just that lot, it's like the surrounding lots. How does that work?
What they're saying is that there are other, he's trying not to say I want a text amendment for my own lot.
Right.
So he's saying there are a number of lots that are large enough
Uh-huh.
in the area to accommodate larger than two-family homes. Theoretically, none of them have
Right.
bigger lots, but they could. And so what he's saying is we should allow
Yeah.
parcels of this size to allow more than two-family homes.
The street frontage of this amount with the side
Right.
bulk size of this amount. That's basically.
I guess the follow-up is, can you do that without the consent of the owners of those property? Like, it doesn't, or that doesn't change anything? Oh, okay.
It would allow them to do more than they currently do, so it wouldn't need to, they wouldn't need.
We
to
wouldn't,
involve.
we wouldn't need their consent to pass the zoning change. They could certainly come and talk about it if they wanted to,
Right.
but we wouldn't necessarily need their consent. It's our decision if we wanted to move it forward.
Oh.
Marie, any thoughts?
No,
I completely agree with
Yeah,
Joe. We
yeah.
have so much stuff going on.
that's a huge.
This will take a lot of study
Yeah.
to make sure that we do it right, that it doesn't leak into other zones. It's not just as simple as the document sounds. There's a lot of considerations that need to be made. We're working through the ETPA, we're working through stuff with the LUTC, we're working through stuff with Rockland Gardens, and other entities in working on affordable housing. I just think that we just can't deal with this. right now.
Yeah, no,
We don't have the bandwidth.
Do we need to make a vote on this or just?
No, just what we need to do is that we're not gonna take any action.
Yeah.
Okay, new business was the land use technical committee and the sidewalk repair project, which we already approved, so I don't think you need to tell us about that.
The land use technical is an item.
Right, and I explained what we were doing on that.
Okay, so just, it's a little bit different from, I don't know if you talked about they proposed a change to our sign
Right,
code.
what Steve said was he was sorry he couldn't make it.
Yeah.
He would come on the 26th and present everything, but he would give us an email explaining all the changes at the LUTC. So do you think we should move the sign thing faster than that?
I don't think it's urgent, Mayor. I
Okay.
just want to distinguish that because what Steve, I think, is intending on presenting has to do with affordable housing and ADUs. And
He mentioned the sign thing
he
tonight.
told me he didn't want
He didn't
to
want
put that
to.
on the sign law question.
Okay,
He was
so
trying to-
what do you propose? How do we move this forward?
Well, that the village trustees should review the draft amendments to the sign
To
law,
the sign law?
which I can summarize quickly.
Okay, why don't you do that and then we'll decide whether we want to move it forward to legislation. Is that what you want?
Right.
Okay,
So the quick summary.
Yeah, it boils down to lessening the load on the ARB. That anytime anybody comes in with any kind of change to an legally existing sign, it has to go to the ARB. So the ARB is saying, look, if it's only going to be a simple or basic design change to a legally existing sign, you don't need to go to the ARB. And basic or simple design change is defined. I won't burden you with the definition here. It's a pretty simple definition, but you can figure out. If it's a basic or simple design change, does not need to go to the ARB. That's all.
has the ARB signed off on this?
Yeah, I think they were one of the progenitors of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was slowing them down because they're getting approvals for minor variations to sign.
I just want to make sure that's on the record. Okay, so any questions about that? So why don't we go through getting it set for legislation? We'll put a public hearing out. I forgot to do the public hearing. We'll do a public hearing at the 26th. We'll set a public hearing for it and then move that forward.
The hearing would not be on the 26th.
No, we'll consider it on the 26th.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff on the 26th. I feel like we're gonna be here till the 28th. when we start the meeting.
Don't say that.
Before we move on with any other communications to the communications piece, there's two items that I would like to move for adoption. One is an executive session to discuss potential litigation and personnel issues. Need a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Motion from Donna, second from Joe. And the second is for us to set a public hearing for October 26th at 8 p.m. for the opting in of, considering the opting in of the ETPA legislation.
Second.
Was that said right?
Yep.
I would just only supplement with, the technical term is declaration of a declaration of a local housing emergency.
Okay.
Which means.
We will consider that,
ETPA.
to open a public hearing for the consideration of that.
So moved. Second.
Motion from Donna, second from Lee, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you for indulging me on that. I completely forgot those two things. Communications, you've all seen the back and forths with concerning the ETPA. You've seen the document with the proposal from the landlords, which we will discuss. And our responses back and forth on it. I think it's a great process. We're really following a good process. We're moving, I think, in a very, very good way, and I'm looking forward to the conversations with the landlords once we have a chance to decide what we think is the right way forward. The rest of the communications are basically notices to us. I'm not sure that we have to take any action on any of them at this point.
You don't need to take action.
So these are just notices of from the Office of Cannabis Management for an application for an adult use retail dispensary within our village limits. We have no reason to take any action at all. They're just notifications. Daniel, I know that this is where you wanted to say something. So is there any questions of the board first, and then we'll go to public comment?
No, except. Yeah, we're gonna move on that part.
Okay, we're not, Dennis, I need your help here, since we're not considering anything. Her members of her family are going to speak to one of the notices. Would she need to recuse herself and from that discussion, from even the presentation, or are we okay to move forward?
So you don't have to use, there's no action that the board can take on these notices that we received from the Office of the Cannabis Management, much like you probably get once in a while from the State Liquor Authority.
Yeah, we get them all the time.
Yeah, most of the time, probably all the time, they're ignored because there's really not much for you guys to do with anything, so.
What we should do is put into the record, which I think you've already done, that she's
Right,
related
yeah,
to
that I am
somebody.
really
Yeah,
Presenting, so that's in the record, there's no question about that.
And
And I-
just, I will not make any comments, even though we're just discussing it.
We're not going to make any comments. We're happy to hear everything that anybody has to say, but there's no reason for us to have comments at this point. We'll take anything under advisement that people bring to us, but we don't have anything to consider, so.
Can I also put into the record that I have a vague sense that one of these properties might involve some sort of relationship with Grant Commercial, which is a real estate company that I have a financial interest in. I don't actually know if we do, but on the possibility that there might be, I just want to have on the record that if any action was taken, I would recuse from the action, and that I don't have any personal knowledge of any of the actions being contemplated here.
Okay. Public comment.
What does that mean? Anyway, you can do yourself.
Answer. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, recusals are if you're going to vote on something that you have a financial or fiscal, you can gain something from it, then you would recuse yourself from the vote. The fact that we're not having any votes now, these both individuals have said what they might recuse themselves from if we did consider something, but there's no purpose or reason for there to be a recusal. Does that answer your question? Okay. Sir.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Zangil. Live at 86 3rd Avenue in Nyack. So I'm coming to make a request to you again in terms of the MU 1 and 2 zones, and as it relates to permitting cannabis facilities. The zoning laws is written currently. basically says everything permitted in the DMU one is permitted in the DMU two, except for three things. First one is DMU two zones allows for apartments on the ground floor. It's not allowed in the DMU one, but that's an incentive. There's an incentive for people in that part of the zone to perhaps put apartments on the ground floor. Then you have a height incentive in exchange for affordable housing. In the DMU one, it's not allowed in DMU two. But again, you're incentivizing creative uses of housing. So you're rewarding the property owners in a certain way by those things. Whereas with the cannabis use, you're actually prohibiting a specific, just one specific commercial use to property owners in DMU two. Otherwise treating them differently for that one specific use. And I think that's unfair. So I'm asking you again, I would urge the board to pass a resolution stating that the cannabis facilities that are permitted in DMU one zone are also permitted in DMU two zones. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. We will review that and discuss it with you, but not tonight. Thank you. Any other public comments on any item? Hearing none, board reports. Marie, you want to start us off? I usually pick on Pascal, but Marie, you want to start us?
Nothing to report?
Joe?
It's only been nothing since last week. We just had.
Well, we did have one
Just had-
significant thing here, that's it. All three of us actually were there.
We'd all blinding and it's all.
The candlelight.
Yes, that was a-
At,
Yes, there was a candlelight memorial at the city courthouse on Tuesday night,
Right.
which was a very well-run event and very solemn. Very sad situation.
Yep.
Yes. Pascal, Donna, you want to go next? We'll go down the route.
We can go next. I have a question in my, whatever we're going. I haven't been to a housing authority meeting in a while. There hasn't been any, and I heard today that they've changed the day. So you know that?
No.
Okay.
That would be up to their board. They should inform you as
Okay,
the
no, I-
representative. Okay. I'll check with
if you will.
Pascal.
Just sort of a quasi announcement, which I'm sure we'll all talk about, is the Rockland Riverway Trail feasibility study. I'm very excited about it. I like to ride my bike on the Nyack Beach Trail, and it would be nice to see that expand and also make our roads a little bit safer, getting less bikes on Broadway, decongest that area on the weekends. So everyone should try to attend. It's on October 17th. You can drop in between 6:30 and 9 p.m. at Rockland BOCES, the gymnasium, also known as, I believe, the Old Knight High School for those OG Nyack people.
The date again?
It's October 17th.
Are you calling me an OG? Is that what you just told me?
Sure. Only OG sort of has it. So
And the
I'm
time
really,
again?
it's between 6:30 and 9 p.m. I'm really excited about it, so I think everyone should also be excited about it too. And as we said earlier, praying for peace, praying for all the victims, and hoping to see better days in the future.
Thank you. I've been talking the whole time, so I don't have anything to add to what I've said. I will entertain a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. I hope we were entertaining.
Thank you.
Briefer than normal.
Please come back next week.
65 minutes.
For next meeting, I should say, not next week.
I got these.